My name is Walter Jacob Echeverria. This is my fiance, Judy Figueroa. I'm from Los Angeles, California. She's from Chicago, Illinois. We met at college, and this is our story.
Well, this was in 2010. It was around February, and I was at work that day, and I get this random text from a friend, and he asked me if I had a date for the banquet at the college in February, and I didn't have one. And so he texted me this guy's name. I'd never heard of him, never seen him before, total stranger. And I said, no, I've never heard of him. So he said, tomorrow in chapel, I'm going to introduce you to. I said, okay, and I figured that he would, forget about it. The next day, chapel, I'm walking down the aisle, and I just hear my name, so I turn around, and there's my friend, and then there's this guy. So I'm assuming that this guy was Walter. So I look, and our friend says, hey Judy, this is Walter. Walter, this is Judy, and he walks away. And we're just there, awkwardly standing, looking at each other. And he's like, so, you're Judy? I said, yeah, you must be Walter. And we talked for maybe a minute. And he's like, would you like to go on a date with me to the banquet? And right there it clicked that this was the guy. Because, I had been told that he was going to ask me. So I said yes. And we went to the banquet, and the banquet was really good. We had a really good time, got to talking, and it almost felt like I knew him for forever. And we were just talking, and it ended up being that he knew my parents before I met him, which was really good. It was a plus for him. And so we've been dating since then. Basically that's it.
We met, it was like around February. I know that for sure. We were in college, and a friend told me, he has asked me if I had a date yet, and I told him no. I wasn't really pushing to find a date, but I guess it was required. So he keeps on insisting about this girl. He's like, you gotta ask this girl out. I'm like, yeah, sure, okay, whatever. And I never got around to it, but there was this one time he came back to me and he called me. He's like, hey, Walter, follow me. I'm like, yeah, what's up? I thought he had like seats for me and he had something to show me. He's like, wait for me here. I'm like, all right, cool. So I was waiting, and then there was another friend right next to me, and then we were talking, just had a conversation. He was a friend. So then next thing you know, he comes like, hey, Walter, this is Judy. Judy, this is Walter. And I'm like, totally in shock. I was like, I guess this is the girl that he was telling me about. And he just took off. Like nothing. So it's me and Judy, and then I meet her, we introduce ourselves, and then out of nowhere it was just, I'm like, alright, just ask her out right there. It was just, hey, nice to meet you. And I'm like, well, I asked her out for a Valentine's banquet that we were going to have here in the college, and she said yeah. And I was so nervous that I forgot to get her phone number that day, but I was excited at the same time that she said yeah. And then after I found her again, and I got her number, and that's what happened.
This is a pretty funny story. I'm sure we'll remember this one forever. This was in 2011, the summer of 2011, and I flew to California to meet his family. And I was obviously quite nervous to meet everyone and see if they liked me or not. But we got there, and I remember it was a Thursday, and of course, being in California, you want to go to the beach, right? So it was a Thursday, and we headed to the beach. Beautiful day, beautiful sunny day. We're walking around the beach. It was us two and his family, his uncle and his aunt were there. And walking around, and he decides to go in the water. And of course, I don't want to, stay out of the fun, miss the fun. So I run right behind him into the water. Well, me being from Chicago/Indiana, don't really go into the beach much. So as I was running in, I trip in this big rock. Obviously I didn't see it, it was under the water. I trip, and it gets worse than that. As I'm tripping over this rock, this wave just comes and rolls me in the ocean. At this point, I don't know where I'm at, what I'm doing. I'm under somewhere, and I'm basically drowning because I had my mouth open, and this salty water comes in my mouth. The wave drags me in the ocean, and I'm in here, and obviously I can't yell for help or anything. And all of a sudden, I'm in there for quite a while trying to swim my way up. I feel somebody pick me up, and of course, I think that it's Walter. But it wasn't. It was his uncle that was all the way in the shore but had to swim in to rescue me. And as I stood, I look at Walter almost like a, why didn't you rescue me? And he just looked completely lost. He looked shocked. He froze up. He didn't know where he was, what he was doing. And I started laughing because just to see him like frozen, it was hilarious. So I'm looking at him and I can't talk because I have all this water inside of me and I just coughing it up and I'm trying to catch my breath. And he was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't know where you were. And I don't blame him because I didn't know where I was, but his face is priceless. So as we come out of the water, his mom's like, you should have helped her, you should have helped her. And it was funny as we come out, and so I'm sitting there trying to catch my breath. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I almost drowned. And I look at my leg, and I had cut my leg. Not only that, I looked at my toe, and I had smushed my toe on the rock. And when he saw me bleeding, he felt really, really bad. And I started laughing because it was funny just to see him panic and freeze. And then I tease him now still, saying that, when we go to the beach or whatever, I'm gonna get my own lifeguard or something, so I won't drown. But it's gonna be a story that we remember forever, and we still joke about it till this day.
There was the day that I told her that I loved her. Wow, that was something. I remember we had this whole. It was like a Valentine's. It wasn't Valentine's Day, but it was like we had to go. We were gonna do something for Valentine's. I planned it out with my friend and everything. But for some reason, everything that I had planned out and how I wanted to go, it wasn't working out. My friend was helping me plan it out, but it didn't go as well as I wanted it to. And he knew I was going to tell her that I loved her. But we were going along, we did everything. We had a restaurant, we were going to go to Chicago, but that didn't work out. So we ended up going to Steak and Shake. And I'm thinking, man, this is horrible. I'm going to tell her that I love her at Steak and Shake, and it's not even romantic at all. But I'm like, all right, let's just do it. So we're in Steak and Shake, and we're eating. I didn't know how to say it, so I barely ate, and she was looking at me like, man, why aren't you eating? She was eating her food, and I just told her. I came out with a gift, and I had a little key with a heart on it that I gave my mother when I was a kid, and I was gonna give it to her, saying kind of like the key of my heart. And when I told her that I loved her right then and there, she started to cry, and I had no reason why she was crying. She just started crying and just bawling, and she didn't take the key or anything. So I'm looking at her like, why is she crying? And I was totally confused for a while, and she just took the key like out of my hand, and then I was like, well, you love me or what's up? Till I guess she took a deep breath and she cleared up, and then she told me that she loved me. I didn't understand at first, but then I guess she cries a lot.
When I left to go back home, I felt something that I've never felt, and I said, this guy's different, he's so mature, and he was so much fun. And as I was driving home, I was just thinking, like, maybe not, time will tell. We're still young, 2010. So we continued on dates after that, and we went on obviously several dates, and just the way that he treated me, always so respectful, always a gentleman. Throughout while we were dating, and even now, of course. But there was one particular time we came back from California in 2011, and he said he wanted to talk to me. So I said okay. So we sat there after church one day, and we were talking, and he was telling me how much fun he had in California, and he was so glad that I met his family, that they loved me, and just thanking me for a good time in California. And I thought it was just going to be kind of a thank you, it was fun. But then he said, no, I really like you. He told me I really like you too. And he said, but I do need to tell you something. I said, okay. And then my heart started beating a little bit. I thought this was getting a little more serious. And he's like, I'm going to need you to be really patient with me. And I said, yeah, of course. He's like, no, like you, and I think there could be something there. I just need you to be patient with me, because, you know, school, we have to finish school, and just be really patient with me. And I said, okay. So we left, and just days after that, we kept dating, went on different dates, and it was always like just being patient. He taught me a lot of patience and just waiting and waiting, which is good because I needed to learn that a little more. And a couple of weeks after that, after we had our talk, I felt like God had given me so much patience and waiting. And I thought, at that moment, I thought, if I could wait, if I can be so patient, it's because He could be the one, and I believe He is the one, because I feel like I could wait for Him forever. And I remember thinking that when He told me to be patient and wait, I remember thinking I could wait for Him forever. It doesn't matter how long, and I can have patience. And that's when I felt like a peace. Like, yes, I might have to wait a little, be patient, but at the end it's going to be worth it. The wait is going to be worth it. And I'm so glad that I did, that I didn't say, forget you or anything. And I waited, and I was very patient. And that's when it struck me. I said, I'm going to be patient, I'm going to wait, because He's worth it, and He's the one. And that's how I believe that He did throughout our dating. He just told me to wait, and I felt like I could wait for Him forever, so I knew He was the one, and He was worth it at the end.
What attracted me and what I guess got my attention, she was different from a lot of girls. She played hard to get. She made me pursue her, which I took it with me like a challenge. She wasn't someone it was like really easy to get. I pursued her, and for me it's something to a guy, when a girl plays hard to get, and for me it was like, I'm gonna win, I'm gonna get this. I wanted it, and it got me a lot, and just the way she was.
This was in May. It's not too long ago, May 2013. He had just graduated from college May 11th, or May 10th, I'm sorry. He had graduated, and his family was here. His parents were here, and he had told me that Saturday, the following day, we were going to go to Chicago, downtown, take a tour of the city. His mom had been here, but his dad hadn't been here for a while, so he wanted to go down there, take a walk, and I thought, oh, that would be nice. My parents, his parents, and us too, we're going to go have fun in downtown. It should be a great time. So as we're going down there, we're going to this place, that place, we're eating this, eating that, and it's getting a little later. It's a little chilly in downtown there by Lake Michigan. It was around 8 o'clock, and the sun was setting, and we were all pretty hungry because we hadn't ate we hadn't ate. So we were getting pretty hungry, so I'm thinking we're gonna head out pretty soon, go home. I didn't think that he would pop the question there and then, but we're walking, and he tells me, hey, you want to go all the way to the end of Navy Pier? And I said, you know what? I've lived here forever, and I've never actually walked all the way down to the end of Navy Pier. I said, sure, why not? So his parents and my parents were behind us, and we're walking all the way down to the end. When we get to the end, there's this big anchor, just a big anchor, and then there's 3 poles there, and then they had the American flag, the Illinois flag. And we're walking over there, and I'm pointing these things out, like Illinois, that's my flag, and we're always teasing about California and Illinois. And so we get there, and we're just kind of walking around, looking at the lake, and I see my parents and his parents kind of, walk away, and so I'm thinking, okay, we need to go follow them because he's probably leaving. And so as we get to this anchor, I tell him, I'm like, hey, I'm getting kind of chilly. It's kind of chilly out here. Do you mind if we go inside? He said, you want to go inside? I'm like, yeah, it's a little chilly, and it was pretty chilly. We were both shivering. And so as we walk around to go back into the pier to walk to the inside, he gets right in front of me and he stops me. And I look at him, what's going on? And so as he stops me, he looks at me and he whispered really softly. I don't know if he probably thought that I didn't hear him, but he just whispered, and he's like, what are you nervous about? And I don't know. And I'm like, can we go inside? I'm chilled. I'm cold. And you are too. I could tell his nose is red. My nose is red. We were cold. He stopped right in front of me, and I told him I was chilled. Go inside. Why'd you stop in front of me? And all of a sudden he whispered that he was nervous, and I heard him. What are you nervous about? So he starts telling me, how much he loves me, and he reached into his pocket and he got on one knee. and he opened the box. You know, it was glistening, beautiful. It was like a lit box. It was just beautiful, and it was getting darker, so it looked amazing. And he got on one knee, and he popped the question. He asked me to marry him, and I took a couple steps back because I was just overwhelmed with excitement. I was just so excited, and you know, me being a girl, I shed some tears. I was just overwhelmed of excitement, and of course I said yes. And right when I said yes, he was like, "Oh, good, now we can go eat." So I thought that was hilarious because he was starving, and right when I said yes, he was like, "Good, now we can go eat." And of course, we went to eat really late that night, but we were just so excited, so happy that we didn't care what time it was, and I'm so glad that I said yes, and of course I would say yes over again.
I proposed May. May 11th was the day that I proposed, and it was in Chicago, Navy Pier. I remember that day I was really, really nervous. I was nervous the whole day. I had the ring in my pocket, my jacket. I was just super nervous. We went to, my family was in town, my mom and dad, we were in town. They came for my graduation, and we were showing them Chicago supposedly. We had planned out that I was going to propose to her that day. We went to Navy Pier, and we were looking all around. We were walking around, just showing them everything. And then we went all the way to the end of the pier where they have the anchor. We were just taking pictures. It was just normal, random, and then I just remember I was really nervous. There was so many times that I was about to ask her and I was about to start speaking to her, but my dad just came and then he would give me from that, "Hey Miguel, you ready?" And I'm like, yeah, I was about to just start. He just interrupted me right there, but it worked out just at a certain time where right at the end, I had planned not to say this whole speech how I loved her so much and how she meant the world to me, but I was so nervous I just cut it straight to the point. I'm like, you know what, I'm really nervous. I love you a lot, and I just got down on one knee and I asked her to marry me.